Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ealing Road podcast, where today we'll be going through the 1-1 home draw at the GTech against the league leaders Arsenal. I am joined by Craig. Happy Valentine's Day, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling the love, man. I'm feeling the love. How are you doing?
All good, yeah. And I can't quite believe still what we've seen in the last few weeks, and I
I
think
know.
another good performance at home. Just before we get going, please comment, subscribe, and follow us on the socials. That is at the Ealing Road on X and at Ealing Road Pod on Instagram. Let's start then with tweet of the week, which this week is from an Arsenal fan called Bernard JG. I couldn't actually get the end of this tweet because I think Mike posted it in our group chat and it's since been deleted. But we've seen it, we've got it, and it's our tweet of the week. I think the first part is all that really matters anyway. So Bernard JG says, "Disgusting, man. These Brentford lot are utter shite. This is what the media make us out to be. Pathetic. They did essentially nothing all game but set pieces and throw-ins until we had to go all out." And then he goes on to say something about Martinelli, which I couldn't see the rest of it. But isn't it funny, Craig, how
I
things come
love
back round
irony.
to bite you?
I love irony, man. So many Arsenal fans on the socials complaining about set piece this, set piece that, overcrowded the penalty area. All you got to do is look at Arsenal's 6-yard box and see how barren and bare the ground is to know that they do it week in, week out. And they couldn't hack it when we did it. Couldn't
I
hack
think
it.
I think it's amazing that we seem to copy them, like in terms of even from our corners. We seem to set up in a similar way, and we look really dangerous from attacking corners. So hopefully, we go on to see that in future games because obviously that's something we struggled with. Obviously, the throw-ins is something we're known for, although we hadn't
Mm.
scored one in a while. Um, but yeah, I was saying to you before, I think that's probably the only game this season where Arsenal will probably look back at that and say that we lost that set piece battle against Brentford.
Mm. Well, I think that if I'm not mistaken, we've conceded 2 goals from corners all season so far. And since the start of last season, I saw a stat that said we've scored from 10 long throw ins, twice as many as the next best team. I can't remember who that was, but we've scored 10, twice as many as the next best team. We're using set pieces to our advantage. All you have to look at last year when we turned kickoffs into set pieces. And we
Yeah, where's
scored.
that gone? Where's that gone, Craig?
Where's
What's
that gone?
happening?
I know. Where's that gone, by the way? This hoof it into the corner so that you box them in straight away. I like that tactic, mind you, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I
think you had another tweet as well you wanted to go through, didn't you?
I do,
So I'll let you go
yeah.
through
I
that.
do, yeah. I also want to say I don't respect the slander I got on the audio from last week when I was recording on my bloody iPad. So hopefully this week is better. I've actually remembered my microphone this time. So
Not good enough,
right.
Craig.
This was a tweet from Adam Joseph. It says Brentford lost Thomas Frank in the summer, sold Brian and Bumo, Yara Wisser, and Christian Norgard. 7th in the Premier League with 12 games to go. 2 points behind Liverpool, who spent nearly £500 million and broke the transfer record twice. Extraordinary. And there's a reply to it saying last season United spent over 200 million and finished 15th, while Brentford finished 10th. And it just goes to show that we're so good at adapting in ways to battle with the big boys where we know we can't compete with them financially. We're not
It,
really ever going to be able to compete with them financially unless we get some Qatari, Saudi, big money investor that wants to pump billions and billions of pounds into the club. But I'm loving it, man. I'm
if
absolutely loving
if
it.
we had that money, do you think we'll be the best team in the world?
In my opinion, we are, mate. I love this football club. I hated us at times this season, but right now I'm loving it.
It's amazing. Let's get into the Arsenal game then. So your initial thoughts. Obviously, the only change to the lineup was Yarmo being back in for Henderson. I've also pointed out the running order that obviously Norgard was on the bench for Arsenal. He's only played 22 minutes in the Premier League this season, which
That's
I'm
a
sure he
crazy.
didn't go there expecting to be the starter, but I would have thought he would have hoped to have got more minutes by this time in the season by now.
I saw he got labelled as Arsenal's spare man, and he wasn't even actually meant to be included in the matchday squad until the last moment. I don't know who it was that dropped out, but he wasn't even meant to be in the matchday squad.
Kai Havertz, wasn't it? I think he dropped out
Oh
pretty late
yeah,
on. Yeah.
with an injury, wasn't it? You could be right. Um, I just want to say I'm so glad that Keith didn't go to a back five for this game. We've been on such a good run of form. They struggle against teams who are in form. So for us to be able to actually go out there and go at them, I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So to see the only change being Yarmo in for Hendo, I kind of get it because we needed the legs in midfield, especially against Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Eze, Erdegaard when he comes on. We needed the legs, and that's what Yarmo gives. And Hendo gives that experience when he comes on, and he gives that calm head. And I know he was going to come on just before we scored, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but that sub was at the right time. And it came at the right time because he calmed us down. He brought a bit of, a sense of chill to what was a pretty chaotic game. I like that he didn't go to a back four. And I've given Keane some slander over the last few weeks or over this last season since he's been back in that front line, but he was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic against Arsenal as well. So I'm glad that he stayed in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
But
I
also
think
that young lad Luca Bent was on the bench
Luca
again.
Bent to replace Reece Nelson, I suppose. Obviously,
Yeah.
couldn't feature on the bench. I think a game like this is KLP's game because when we're playing a better side and when it is a back four, we still want people like KLP to track back and help out defensively. And I think out of all of our wingers, he is the best at doing that. There's no doubt about that. The doubts with him come in the final third. And he had a couple of chances. Obviously, he got the goal as well. So it wasn't a bad day for him at all going forwards. But he's still probably not the most effective for me going forwards. But I think these are the sorts of games you do want him starting in because he will work so hard.
So my issue was that I was thinking he's not going to be able to beat his man when his man is going to be Yuri and Timber. And a couple of times he had him. A couple of times.
One point in the second half, he went on quite a run, didn't he?
He went on quite a run, and he had a few of them. Yeah, but I mean, Arsenal started with 3 centre backs, like Hincapié playing out on the left, Mascara and Gabriel, who I hope we're going to talk about, should have been sent off. By the way, like. It was crazy to see them line up with three centre backs when they've got a player like Ben White on the bench who can play as a fullback as well. But he sacrificed that position basically, and it worked in our favour.
I think all season it's been either Calafiori or Hincapié, hasn't it?
Oh, and he was on the bench. I forgot Calafiori was on the bench.
Yeah. And you could probably argue that Calafiori is more of a centre back as well at times.
Yeah.
Let's go through the first half first of all. I don't think there's very many clear-cut chances in the first half, which is credit to us. I think you couldn't really tell. I don't think who was top of the league in this game. Obviously, both teams over the last 10 games are top 2 in the Premier League. I thought we forced Arsenal into a couple of errors at the back, quite uncharacteristic errors from Gabriel and also David Raya. The David Raya one, the way where he threw it out, led to obviously us recycling the ball. Jensen's cross, and then probably the best chance of the first half. Through Igor Thiago. Is that a brilliant save from Raya for you, or should Thiago have done better?
I'm going to say both. I'm going to say it does hit David Raya's body, but he reacts well to sort of jolt himself to the left and make the save. But it was more or less directly at him. Has to react. Great save. Thiago probably should do a little bit better with it. Gets it away from him, and we're probably going in at half-time 1-0. So I can see it from both directions, but all you have to do is look at the Arsenal goal to know that maybe, I know you put it down, probably should have gone back across the goalkeeper anyway. But look, again, it was another game for Thiago where he didn't score, but I thought he was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, just to get to that header ahead of Gabriel, obviously that's who he's up against. It's maybe a bit of luck on our side that Saliba obviously missed out last minute in this game as well. But the fact that this would have been one of his toughest assignments to date, being up against Gabriel, and I think it was a good battle. And he got ahead. He got ahead of him for the header. Yes, it probably should go back across goal. We've shown that in recent weeks. Obviously, the in-out goal as well at Newcastle. What were your thoughts at half time then? Because I thought it was all to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that they've shown, like you said at the beginning, uncharacteristic weaknesses and errors that we haven't really seen from Arsenal in very many games. But I said it before, I said it after the Newcastle pod as well, is that when they come against an informed team, they struggle. we had the momentum going into this game after two fantastic results away at Villa and away at Newcastle. Going into it, we were the ones that, like you said, you couldn't have at half time. You couldn't have told me that Arsenal were the team that were top of the league. We matched them and probably bettered them, and especially going into the second half as well. I thought the game was there for the taking, man. It was there for the taking for sure.
Yeah, for such a good team, I think Arsenal can be a fragile bunch. I don't know if it's because they haven't won the league title in so long, and obviously the pressure's really hitting home, and obviously the players will also feed off the fans, and I know
Yeah.
the fans are quickly to, there's tweets after this game that they've blown it. They're still 4 points clear.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned it, but that Madueke dive, man, in the first half as well. That was right in front of the West Ham. That was horrendous, by the way. Absolutely horrendous dive.
Yeah, obviously, at the start of the second half, Arsenal started strongly. Probably their best period of the game, and obviously it led to the goal. I thought it was a really good cross from Hincapié. Madueke obviously got the better of Rico Henry in that situation, and obviously did head it across goal. Like we said, Thiago should have in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Any complaints about that? Should Rico have done better? Could Kayodes' clearance before that led to the cross have been better?
I think that there was a change at half time, wasn't there? Eze for Martin Odegaard, and that changed the game for the first sort of 15-20 minutes. Well, probably only the first 15 minutes, because as soon as they scored, the whole flow of the game completely changed. It felt like. So when you've got a players like Saka, like Odegaard that you can bring on at half time, I know Saka didn't come on at half time, but to be able to bring them on and change and influence a game, that's what Odegaard did. And obviously the ball comes in from, like you say, from Hincapié. Madueke does well. I want to say, I know that it kind of works in our favour because they're in the corner. I don't like when a player scores and the away fans are in the corner and then the player celebrates in the other corner. Like, why don't you celebrate with your own fans? It bugs me that they celebrate in front of the home fans instead of their fans. It's a great ball in. I think when you watch the highlights back, Kelleher's quite unlucky because he actually slips. His back foot slips just as he's about to push off, which means he almost flops but flings an arm at it to try and get it out. But the reaction to the goal was brilliant.
Yeah, I think maybe Kayode for me. I think the initial clearance could have been better, and obviously he put it back into relative danger. And
We've had that a couple of times, though, haven't we? Where his clearance, unfortunately, hasn't been fantastic. But that was probably the only real, question about Kayode's performance. He actually, was it the first half? No, it was the second half when he went on that bit of a marauding run, wasn't it? And I don't know if that was before or after we scored, but picks the ball up, drives infield. It was before. I'm sure we won the throw-in from it not long after. But absolutely leathers it and knocks Gabriel off his feet, didn't he? But
yeah, I mean that's the side of his game that we love, and obviously it was a great response, like you said, after the Arsenal goal. Lewis Potter had a little taste of this beforehand with a free header from the corner. Thiago also.
I think that corner is the one that resulted from Kayodes' run, by the way.
Yeah, and obviously Thiago again looked like he had a chance. Maybe he could have squared it to Dango. And then the goal from the long throw, which feels overdue. It actually feels like a little while since we scored from a long throw. So, what were your thoughts on those chances? Should KLP have done better with the first one before C scored?
Yeah, it's a free header at the back post. He at least has to make David Raya save it, and he puts it wide. It's funny to think that he's the smallest player on the pitch winning the header at the back post. I know it's because it went over everyone and missed everybody, but it's still funny to think about. Yeah, he has to hit the target at least, make Raya save it. Then I think it weren't long after that we scored. But was the Thiago, the block from Mosquera, was that before or after the goal? I can't even remember now. I feel like it was after.
It was after, but there was another occasion when Thiago was almost.
Oh, the David Raya save.
But on both of these occasions, Dango was in perhaps a better position, you could argue, in the middle.
I think that Thiago had Mosquera on toast. Like, I thought that the battle between them two was really, really good. But Thiago had him. He probably should have scored, bagged one, maybe two. Like, he would probably be disappointed in himself that he hasn't scored. But go into the goal. I love a long throw goal. I really do, because other people hate it.
Especially
And
against Arsenal. It's since the first opening day of the Premier League all those years ago. I
yeah,
think a long throw goal at home against Arsenal
we've
looks
come full
brilliant.
circle, haven't we?
Yeah. Brentford posted the two videos of both goals of obviously the
Yeah.
Norgard one in 2021 alongside the one from Thursday night.
Yeah, well, I do love it, and I loved seeing Arsenal complaining about everything. Obviously, I hated it at the same time because it killed the flow of the game, but they didn't like it. We absolutely bullied them in their own penalty area, and they couldn't hack it, and they
Yeah.
were whinging and they were moaning, and David Raya was complaining about everything. And again, the smallest player on the pitch wins the throw at the back post, puts it back across the goalie, what Thiago probably should have done in the first half. And absolutely, it was a fantastic atmosphere as well. Like, but that just sort of raised the levels. Their goal, there was a good reaction from the fans when they scored, and obviously when we scored, it just raised the noise levels in the stadium, and we was on top from then on out.
I just think it's so impressive. I mean, you could argue Arsenal the best set piece team in the world. They're
Mhm.
obviously the best team in England at the moment. I think they probably will win the league, despite
I don't want to
obviously
say
any
no.
jitters that they have.
No.
But the fact that we basically played them at their own game. Obviously, we did a lot of other good stuff as well, but we played
Yeah.
them at their own game and we came out on top. And I think that is so impressive. And I really do hope, like I said at the start, that we take, especially the corners and the way we were setting up at corners. I hope we take this forward now into the future games we've got coming up. Let's talk about Thiago's other chance because we've already mentioned it. I think the second one, in particular, one freeze frame when he gets round Mosquera, it looks like
Yeah.
he's completely in, and obviously he delays his shot. Dango's also in a good position by the time he gets that shot
Yeah.
off, and almost has an open goal. I think it was a good game from Thiago. Obviously, he had the half volley that he smashed over towards the end as well. But is it fair to say it wasn't his best day in front of goal?
Yeah, it wasn't his best day in front of goal, but it's also the work that Thiago does off the ball. It's the work that he does off the ball that has ultimately earned him a new contract. So, and also big congratulations again to Thiago for winning Premier League
I
Player of the
can't
Month
believe he's won it twice
for
when no
January.
Brentford player had ever won it before.
He's also the first. He was the first Brazilian player, I believe, to win Player of the Month as well. So now he's the first Brazilian player to win 2 Player of the Month. So, and that's, well, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if Bobby Firmino or Coutinho ever won it in the past, but it's crazy. Brentford players won Player of the Month twice this season. Ivan Toney never did it. Wissa never did it, and Bumo never did it. It's
I think it's
absolutely
a fan
crazy.
vote, isn't it? Which is why
Yeah,
I'm a bit. Who's voting for him? Because I vote for him, but
FIFA
I don't know
players.
who else is voting for him.
FIFA players, man, they only want to see the card on FIFA, don't they? That I think that chance, again, he has to make the keeper work, doesn't he? He delays the shot, like you say. The first chance that he has, Raya makes a save. He goes at the near post. Fair enough. Raya makes a save, and then Thiago then wins the second header straight away after that, and unfortunately doesn't hit a target. But the second chance for me is the most clear-cut chance where him and Mosquera are running side by side, and he flicks the ball past him, and you're thinking, shoot, 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 just pull the trigger, man, just pull the trigger. And then you see Dango running past. You're like, if you're not gonna shoot, lay it off. He's in. It takes a bit too long with that shot. Don't take anything away from Mosquera. Absolutely fantastic block, like last ditch challenge. He has to make it. And the one right at the end, I know there's a lot more in between then and the end. But that again, he just has to make the keeper save it. At least make the keeper save it. At least make the keeper save it.
I think the fact that it was end to end, obviously Keith Andrews, again, we've criticised him at times this season for
Yep.
settling for defeats or settling for a draw. This time against a top team, obviously bringing Damsgaard and Henderson on for that extra creativity in midfield, and they were coming on. I think they were ready to come on again. That's been a theme in recent weeks as we scored, but obviously they still came on.
Yeah.
I think Keith Andrews has to be praised here for really trying to go for the win.
I love the reaction. I don't know if you've seen the videos of Keith Andrews jumping on
Henderson,
Henderson's back. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And he gets it. It's like he gets it. He understands the fans. He understands the feelings, the emotions of it. But I feel so daft. Feel so daft for ever criticizing him. But he's still a young manager. He's still in the early years of his managerial career. But he's done absolutely brilliant. It's funny, isn't it? Only the top 3 or 4 have won more games than us still. Only the bottom 4 have lost more games than us. We don't seem to draw. I think this was only the 4th draw of the season. 3rd draw at home.
Well. None away.
Are they all at home?
Yeah, I think so.
Have we not had any away from home?
I don't think so. I'm sure I saw the away table a few weeks ago, which we're now in mid-table of because we've improved away, and we haven't drawn any away games, all at home.
So we drew with obviously Arsenal, Chelsea, Leeds, and I feel like there's a 0-0. Oh, Spurs. Yeah, the most forgettable game of the season.
Yeah. Let's talk about Gabriel. And obviously, I think he should have got a second yellow. I think you're going to say the same. Yeah. Very clumsy challenge in the second half. A lot of people on Twitter saying that it would have been given as a red if it was one of our players. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. It would probably be given as a straight red if it was one of our players, let alone a second yellow card. Yeah. I saw a thing which said top teams are refereed differently. And every game that goes by, I believe that top teams are refereed differently. Because if we go back to the Newcastle game, I don't think that we get that penalty that they got. I don't think that we get that penalty. And the fact that if the penalty that we did get, if it was at the other end, I don't think VAR would even have intervened as much as they did against Newcastle. I think that if Matty Cash is doing what Sharda did to him, it will be, he lifted his body, put his foot on it, wasn't a push, blah, 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 no red card. I think that teams that are up there are refereed differently to what we are. Because if that's Sepp on Martinelli or whoever, that is the easiest yellow card the referee is given the whole game. And he was dishing out yellows. He was dishing out so many yellows. He was dishing out so many yellows for little things. I don't know how Dango Ouattara got booked for a foul by Urian Timber on Dango Ouattara.
I don't normally subscribe to these theories about bias and things like that. I think if there is anything in it, it's not conscious. I think in Arsenal's situation, referees are aware of the situation they're in. They probably don't want to. They're probably maybe a bit more scared to get things wrong if it ultimately then affects the title race and there's big stories coming out.
Just because that greasy-haired dickhead on the sideline is going to complain about something. I despise Mikel Arteta as well, man. Yeah.
Anyway, it was heart and mouth at the end. It could have been worse because it was end to end. We were going for it, but then what were your thoughts when Martinelli was steaming through? I think it was someone else was steaming through, and then
I think ball goes into Gyökeres, who flicks it on for Timber. And credit to Dango as well, by the way. Like 95th minute, 94th minute, and Dango is busting a gut to get back and doing the defensive work as well. Credit to him for getting there. Ayer obviously puts in that challenge, but Timber lays it off to Martinelli, and you're thinking, all this hard work. No. But, excuse me, big credit to Cleveland Kelleher, off his line so fast, gets in front of the ball, smothers the ball, makes a massively important save. But not just in terms of the game. That's a huge save in terms of our season, in terms of the title race. And again, we had this argument about Flecken so many times last season that Kelleher won us that point. By making that save at the end of the game, he won us a point. But then the game was so crazy. Was the Thiago chance before or after that?
I think the Martinelli chance was the last chance. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Obviously, we had the throw in right at the end, but it didn't really go anywhere.
No.
but yeah, I mean, Kelleher once again, he's done it many times this season.
We
Yeah,
can't question his shot stopping, can we? You can't
no,
question his
and
shot
and he
stopping.
probably, he didn't have as much to do in this game. There's probably what he thought. I think he only had really that. I think there's one header from a corner in the first half that he might have tipped over.
No, I don't think that they at half time they'd had one shot and it wasn't on target.
Oh, there was definitely a Gabriel from a corner somewhere. Maybe it was that one.
Maybe it was in the second half. Well, I think that
Yeah.
there's one. I think there is a header from Gabriel in the first half, but I think it hits Chris Ayer,
Oh, maybe,
who's doing the
yeah.
defensive work. But if I'm not mistaken, that they didn't have very many. They obviously scored the goal and that one chance. But when you think about the game, I can't think of Kelleher having to make any other save other than that one right at the end. And then again, other than the Thiago save that Raya made, I can't think of him making a save either. It's like it's such an end-to-end game, but the finishing just wasn't really there from either side. But it was
Yeah.
so entertaining, and I hope that the neutral enjoy it. A few people messaged me afterwards, going, "I don't know how you've not won that game." Like West Ham fans, a couple of my Spurs fans saying, "I don't know how you've not won that game." And
I
I
had some
can't
Arsenal
believe we
fans
didn't win
telling
it.
me that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe we haven't won that game. But we've gone from Forest game, oh shit, we might lose 5 games in a row here, to coming out of these 3 games with 7 points, having not lost, beaten Villa at Villa Park, beaten Newcastle at St James's Park, held their champions elect at home to a 1-1 draw. Macclesfield, congratulations on the entry into the 5th round of the FA Cup. That's all I can say.
Who are your standout players? I've noted down. I thought Rico Henry was brilliant for the most part against Madueke. I thought Yanel, after getting an early yellow card, he was a bit worried for him. But again,
Yeah,
the way he managed himself in that midfield, still got stuck in. Knew
everybody.
when to not dive in to get a second yellow. Vandenberg, obviously, probably his best game in the Brentford shirt. He won the Premier League man of the match. I just think the running that we do, and how we're defensively, sound, and we can get, we can limit a team like Arsenal to so little and within the 90 minutes. But
Which
yeah,
is
who stood out for you?
just on that defensively sound, it's funny, isn't it? Because at the start of the season, we're giving away sloppy goals, we're giving away stupid goals. We're not like conceding, we're letting them score. We're creating chances for the opposition. But these last few games, we have been fantastic. Even actually, I'm going to write off the Forest game. Forest game wasn't great. It wasn't great. But the Chelsea game, I thought, I come out of Chelsea going, how the bloody hell have we lost that game? And then you've got the 6 games before that where we went, and I think that we've lost 2 out of the last 10 games.
And that would have been the Chelsea and the Forest game, like 3 and 4 games ago.
Yeah. So that we've lost 2 out of the last 10 games, which would be those ones. Well, actually, it would be 11, but that's besides the point. But to come through this run of fixtures that we've had, thinking, God, we could lose 5 in a row, to then be talking about getting 7 out of a possible 9 points, being 2 points behind Liverpool, 3 points behind Chelsea in 5th, and 4 points now above 8th. We've got ourselves into a position where, and I know that you said after, and I feel like you do believe more, and I said after Newcastle that you believe that we're in a similar position to Arsenal in that our season can only be dictated by us now. The only team that can lose Arsenal the Premier League is Arsenal. The only team that can now lose us a position potentially in the Conference League, potentially in the Europa League, is us. And excluding the last 3 games away from home, being United, City, and Liverpool on the last game of the last day of the season, we have got a favourable running, a more favourable running. Not easy, but I think that teams would rather have the running that we've got compared to the running that other teams going to have. There are banana peels in there. There are, we're going to slip up at certain games and things like that. But I think me and my dad was talking about it. We've got 12 games left, 6 at home, 6 away. And you look at the teams that we have to play at home. There are a few around us. We've got to play Fulham at home. Got to play Everton at home. Got to play Bournemouth away. We've still got to play Wolves at home. West Ham at home. If we can maintain the run of form that we're on, and I think if we could pick up potentially maybe 18 to 20 points out of a possible, I think 20 out of 36, that could get us into a European place. But I've been a Brentford fan long enough as well, you have, to know that we can still finish 12th. But I think that it's in our hands going into this last third of the season.
Yeah, well, we're finally safe now. We got to 40 points, which is good to know.
That's it. We're not going down.
Yeah, I do believe now, and obviously I've seen a few comments that we've had recently about the reversible T-shirts that we might get made that say Dan believes on one side and make Dan believe on the other side. If I had that T-shirt, I'd be turning it inside out at the moment, because I do believe. I think we've never been in this position where it's been in our own hands with 12 games to go. We've always been the team chasing and having to go on a really good run just to get, just to almost catch up. Yeah. We're in a great position. A question I've got for you, Craig. Next 5 games: Brighton at home, Burnley away, Bournemouth away, Wolves at home, Leeds away. How many points do we get from those?
I obviously want to go for the maximum, but there are Leeds away on a Saturday at 8 o'clock is not a favourable fixture for anybody. It's not a favourable fixture. Bournemouth themselves have hit a run of form recently and picked up from where they are. I think, again, if we could come out of these 5 games with maybe 8 to 10 points, we've done well. If we go to Bournemouth and we pick up a point, but it's the old narrative of win your home games, don't lose away from home, because we've got Brighton at home, and Wolves at home, and Everton at home in these 5 games. Did you say? Sorry.
The 3 of them are away, so we've only got Brighton and Wolves at home. We've got Burnley, Bournemouth, and Leeds away.
So I would say that we should be looking at going to Burnley and picking up maximum points, but I don't know the last time we won at Burnley. Couldn't tell you that. Again, Leeds is not a favourable fixture at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. It's not a favourable fixture for anybody. Bournemouth hit a run of form, and they could. There's a few banana peels.
Don't like playing us though, do they?
They don't like playing us. Not very many teams like playing us at the moment. Do you know what I mean? We're the informed team. So I think that over these 5 games, if we can get maybe 9-10 points, that will be good for us. Obviously, I can't say we're going to go unbeaten for all these 5 games like we had done in the run previously, but then again, we may get a haircut before the United Strand does. So anything could happen. Anything could happen. I'd say if we got 9 or 10 points in 5 games, and we averaged 9 or 10 points, like I say, that would get us 20 points if we got 10 over 5 games for the rest of the season. That would get us to 20, 21, 22 points, which I think would be enough to at least get the Conference League, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think from here on in, we at least want to break our Premier League points record, which is 59. So we're looking at 20 points to break that and obviously have our best Premier League season. I just think it's a massive opportunity. These 5 games,
Huge.
No games are easy in the Premier League.
No.
But if you were to pick like 5 fixtures, it wouldn't look too dissimilar from this, I don't think. Brighton are not on form, and obviously we're at home. Burnley, we should be at a level now. If we're getting into Europe, we should be beating Burnley. Let's put it that way. Bournemouth, we have a good record against. I don't think they enjoy playing us and our style of play. Wolves at home, again, we probably should win. They're better now than they were.
They're banana peel games. They're banana peel games. Wolves are 1 win away from not being the worst Premier League team ever. They're 3 points off of not being the worst Premier League teams. I was listening to TalkSport on the way home from the game, and Arsenal fans were calling in saying this is the worst the Premier League has ever been. I think it's the other way around. And I like that argument, because it means if Arsenal win it, it means they're the worst ever champions to win the league. And I like that argument, because that's what you can throw back at Arsenal fans. I actually think it's the other way around. I think that the quality of the Premier League has never been higher. And I
think the mid-table teams have never been better. Like the middle ground of the Premier League, I think has never been better.
Yeah. Also, can we just acknowledge that Everton have been fighting relegation for the last 4 seasons, ever since we've been in the Prem, and they're 4 points behind us. as well. They're doing a fantastic job. There are so many banana peels. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy for sure. But if we have an opportunity to dictate our own season now, we can dictate the outcome by putting in the right performances, getting the right results. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tricky. I'm going to be there for the ride. I'm going to love it. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to despise it. I just hope that come the end of the season, if for whatever reason we don't finish in the top 8 and get a European place, that we can look back at the season and go, what a year it's been as well.
In some ways, I think I'm more confident for the Brighton and Bournemouth games just because I feel like they're managed by managers who won't change their style to sit back against us. If you're looking at the Bournemouth home game, they played how they always play, and it enabled us to play how we want to play. I think those games against lesser teams, Leeds are playing really well at the moment, but they still probably have a defense first mindset, and we're going to have to break them down. And they will counter attack on us, and that's still where we're not probably used to playing against that regularly yet. But if we find ourselves up here in the table, that will happen more and more, particularly when teams come to the GTech. Anything else, anyway, from the Arsenal game before we move on to some questions?
Not that I can think of. The atmosphere was unreal. I thought from the West End, the atmosphere was absolutely phenomenal.
Best of the season?
One of the better ones we've had this season. Yeah, probably one of the better ones we've had this season. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed the game. In general, it was just a great game of football. It was such an enjoyable game of football to watch as well, end to end.
So it was a Newcastle game. Yeah, we're really good to watch at the moment, I think.
Yeah, we are quite enjoyable. Obviously, the Villa game second half was probably very anti-football, but if defenders watching that game, you're thinking, Jesus, what a result that is! What a result it was! What a result it was!
I think the style's just moved on so much.
Keith Andrews is adapting. Keith Andrews is adapting, isn't he? He's changing his game.
And I think this is a massive message to anyone who was writing him off pretty early on, after one or two performance.
We did, we were saying, is he the man to take us forwards? We were talking about it. Is he the right man? Should we have gone for it? We're guilty of it as much as
but I mean,
99% of fans.
We never called for his head, I don't think, or I certainly didn't. I don't think Mike did.
I think we was close. I think that we was like, if we lose this game or that game, then he's not the man. He's got to go. But let's be honest, we played some pretty turgid football at the start of the season. It wasn't pretty to watch, but he's developed. He's grown. This team has come together. They're playing for him. You can see it. They're playing for the fans. There's a real group feeling about it, and it goes. Just celebrations from Keith Andrews when he celebrated the players. I love it.
I just think we got enough results early in the season, even if the performances weren't what we want to see. And I think, this just goes to prove why you should give a manager time, because the way we've progressed, I think since that Wolves game for me, which was quite a nervy away win in December, I think generally we've been brilliant since then. And I was going to ask you, do you think that is the most consistent period we've had? Certainly around this time of the season, because I know we've been on a run towards the end of other Premier League seasons.
It's around this time of the season. The only the one that sticks out is the Forest game, isn't it? That's the one that sticks out. But when you've got one game in 11 where we weren't probably up to the standard that we set for ourselves, this time of the year between sort of December and now, this is when we really struggle, when the fixtures get really congested. It's a really busy period of time of year, and we start to struggle. But the reason we're not struggling this year is, touchwood, we've been fortunate with other things. We've been fortunate with other things. We've had the squad depth as well. We don't really have much squad depth in the last few years, but this year we do, when you've got Henderson that you can bring on, Damsgaard you can bring on. Our captain's missed the last 3 games. Nathan Collins hasn't played. Aaron Hickey's been stuck on the bench because Rico's doing so well. We've got the squad depth this year, which is helping us see out games and win games as well.
Yeah, I mean, even against Forest, I'd say we weren't as bad as we have been in some games.
We weren't as bad as we have been. But if you're talking about the red herring in the games that we've played, that's the one that sticks out as probably not to the standard that we'd set.
Yeah, let's move on to a few questions then. There's a few people on Twitter telling Mike to stay away, a bit like when you were unwell.
Yeah.
Because since he's gone away, we've gone to Villa Park and won our first game there ever. We've won at St James's Park for the first time since 1934, and we've remained unbeaten in obviously games against Newcastle, Villa, and Arsenal now. Richard on Twitter says, "Is this our strongest 11?" referring to the 11 that started against Arsenal.
It's a great question because Brighton next week. I don't want him to change the team. I don't care that Kevin Shard has come back. I don't care if Nathan Collins is fit. I don't care about that stuff. You don't change. I know we didn't win, but it was a good result for us. You don't change when you're doing well. Is this our strongest 11? I don't know. I really don't know because I couldn't tell you what our strongest 11 is at the moment. In my opinion, KLP is. Although I apologise for the slander that I've given him because he was absolutely phenomenal on Thursday night. He's probably not our strongest winger, but the work that, like you've said a few times, the work he does defensively is the best out of the front wingers options that we've got. Be it Dango, be it Sharda and KLP, and even Romeo Donovan now. He's got a few getting more minutes, which was good to see at Newcastle. Is it our strongest 11? I don't know, Dan. I really don't know, mate.
I think it's changeable. I mean, with KLP, I would start him at the Etihad when we go there. I would start him away at Man United. Those big games that we've got coming up between now and the end of the season where we think we might be under a bit more pressure, I would start KLP in those games. I would probably prefer Damsgaard in there in the other games. And I also don't really believe that, a strongest 11 needs to be a thing. I think it needs to be changeable, and I think it will depend on your last performance.
Yeah, you probably need a strong 14 or a strong 15. You can't just have a strong 11 because you need those handful of players that are going to be able to come on and change the game. Henderson, Damsgaard, Nathan Collins, Aaron Hickey, Romeo Donovan, players that can come on. Reece Nelson, players that can come on. Kai Fura, we haven't seen him yet. Hopefully we will against Macclesfield, but players that could come in and make a change, make a difference, impact the game in a positive way. Unlike bringing on Julian Jean-Vier, who's going to stick the ball in his own net, or
I think it's great that if Vandenberg, for example, was to have a stinker against Brighton next week, I think it's great that Collins is there waiting and will start the game after. Yep. It just demands that players keep to their high standards and they're all pushing each other. And, Vandenberg, Collins does not deserve to come back in at the moment. Not because of him. He's not done a lot wrong.
But because the other two are doing so well.
Yeah. And that's how it should be. And that's brilliant, I think. And it just challenges everyone to keep improving.
But I don't think that's just outfield players. I think if Kelleher was having a stinker week in, week out, we should be able to drop him in the same way that we can drop other players as well. If Valdemarsson can step in and play well, let Valdemarsson step in and play well. Yeah, they're not of the same, in my opinion, they're not quite of the same caliber, and Kelleher will eventually come back in and displace him. But every player across the pitch is replaceable, and that's where we're in a position now where we've got the depth in squad to be able to say, like, if you're not playing very well, there is someone waiting to take your place.
Yeah, completely agree. Again, I'd probably say Thiago is the only one, although we don't know what Furo's like. We've not seen him yet. But David on Twitter says, "Are we now seeing Rico hit the levels of a few years ago? And does Sharda come back in after his ban?" I think we spoke about Sharda last week. I'm firmly saying no.
No, I agree. So to answer the second point, no. There is no scenario in my head in which Kevin Sharda should come back in. Unless there's injuries.
Yeah.
And nor should he. Just because we've completely eluded the fact that he's going to come back. We're talking about squad depth and didn't even mention him. Like, with all due respect to him, he can be a fantastic player, a brilliant, brilliant player. We have not missed him since he got sent off of Villa. We didn't miss him in that second half. We didn't miss him against Newcastle. We didn't miss him against Arsenal. We have not missed him having him in the team. He is replaceable. Thiago, probably not so much. Kayode, going to be really difficult to replace him. Jensen, Damsgaard, these are really difficult players to replace. They've done well being interchangeable, the two of them, Damsgaard, Jensen, or working side by side. They're absolutely phenomenal. But we haven't missed Kevin Sharda. No way does he come straight back in. He might, maybe, but I don't think he should. And in regards to Rico, he has been brilliant these last few games as well. Since he's been able to come back in, get regular minutes, get regular football, get regular match fitness, he is returning to the Rico that we saw before. And I don't think he's lost much or any pace either. You know, you saw him catching up with Gyökeres and Martinelli and Saka, by the way, crap. Yeah, I don't get this ranting and raving that he gets. He came on crap, absolute crap, did nothing. He's got as many goals from open play as Forest have had managers this season. So let that sink in. Rico, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I'm so glad for him after his injuries to be able to come back in. It's a shame that he changed his allegiance in leading up to his World Cup, by the way, and obviously it's a World Cup year, which means Luke Shaw is fit, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah. Rico has always been a little bit overlooked. I think in a dominating team like England, I think Rico would probably need to be better on the ball and in terms of the final ball.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to say it's that final one, isn't it?
Yeah, but like I said, I wish we could merge him with Hickey. But I'm certainly not calling for Hickey to come in over Rico like we may have done earlier this season.
No, yeah.
At the moment, Tommy, this is the last one probably about individual players, or we've got two more actually. Tommy on Twitter, after his performance last night, is Sepp actually our best CB? After all the questions about Io recently.
Do you know, well, is Sepp the best centre back? All the questions about Io, who has been the one constant, be it again next to Nathan Collins or next to Sam Van der Berg? It's Chris Io at the moment. Based on form, Chris Io is still on form. Yeah, people picked at us for saying that he's our best centre back at the club. On form, Chris Io is the best centre back at the club.
Yeah, generally it's probably Nathan Collins.
Generally, it's probably Nathan Collins. Yeah. Sepp is still quite young. He's got time to learn. He's got time to adapt. He can change his game, and he was superb. So was Chris Io. So was Rico Henry. So was Kayode. Aaron Hickey did well for the last little bit when he came on. You know, Janelt was brilliant. Hendo when he came on. Everyone was fantastic. No one stuck out really. I didn't think in this game. Is Sepp actually a centre back? Nah, not. He could be. You know, he could be, but not at the moment. Not at the moment.
I think we've already answered this one, but Marty on Twitter says, could you see us moving Sharda on in the summer and establishing KLP as a starting winger? I've given my thoughts on KLP and the games I think he should start in. But it wouldn't surprise me if we move Sharda on, and I think we'll probably bring someone in to cover that hole.
So it's like a yes and no one, isn't it? Yeah, I can see us moving Sharda on, getting some big money in for him, but I can also see if he has a strong preseason, I can see potentially Donovan starting a few games next year. Unless we bought in another winger. But yeah.
Good squad player is KLP for me, but I don't think he should be the first name with this team.
He's so adaptable as well.
Yeah. The chauffeur on X says, after many years of dross and lower league despair, bucket shaking, and then gradual, at times frustrating climb to the top tier, my question is, what the fuck is happening, Craig?
Firstly, Barry, also known as Dan, thank you for watching. I know he loves it and watching and listening to the pod. I think that if he was to answer that question, he would actually say, I've got no idea. Haven't got a clue what is going on, but I'm loving it and I'm here for the ride. And every game that we go to, we're enjoying at the moment, which is also new territory for us. Because last season,
genuinely, if we had scored late on against Arsenal, it would have been like the best 3 weeks I've ever had supporting Brentford.
yeah. Honestly. Also, that place would have gone. It would have absolutely gone mad. And when we got that throw in at the end, I was stood next to him. on the west stand, and I said, "Can you imagine? If this goes in?" I was thinking to myself, this place would go absolutely potty. What is happening? Mate, I'm just loving it.
I almost believed that it would go in after the last couple of weeks. I almost thought, you know what, I wouldn't put it past.
Well, we're going to nick this. Yeah, we're going to nick this.
So strange. There's a would you rather question from Shaw, which I think is quite interesting. He says, would you rather get the UCL and finish and visit some classic grounds, but finish outside of the playoffs, so not go through to knockouts? Would you rather get Europa League with a mix of sleeping giants and other outposts around Europe and get to the knockouts, or would you rather get the Conference League on a Thursday night in Azerbaijan, Lithuania, and Bulgaria, but then potentially win it?
That one, Conference League, because I think that we're not at. I think that we would have a season like Forest if we get into Europe. I think we'd have a season like Forest where we may not succeed as much as what we would want in the Premier League. We might struggle with not having 2 full 11s. We might struggle with the Premier League as well. But it also means that we can finish 17th and go in the Europa League season after. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think any English team who gets into the Conference League is automatically one of the favourites.
Yeah, could potentially win it.
I think, that's a chance then to get into the Europa League and extend, because I can't see us getting into a European Premier League finish if we're playing in Europe at the same time. I think we'll drop off a little bit in the league. So, that's the best way, I think, of getting Europe twice in a row. I think second, if we didn't get Conference League and if I choose between the other two, I'd probably say Champions League, just because I do not ever think I still don't think I'll ever see Brentford play in the Champions League. And I'd love to see us go to places like the Bernabeu and play Real Madrid in the
lose
Champions
8-0 at Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's just all part of the experience. So, I'd love to do that.
I would love to see us in the Champions League. I don't think it happened. We've got an opportunity for the Europa League. We've got opportunity for the Conference League, but to potentially win a European competition, the Conference League is probably our best bet, and I would do that. But I would love that to some back end shithole in Azerbaijan, like, you know what I mean? Like, I look at the Conference League from this season, and the only real names that I can pick out is Legia Warsaw in Poland. Obviously, you got Aberdeen, Shamrock Rovers. Let's have a look. Fiorentina, AZ Alkmaar.
I feel like Fiorentina are there every year, aren't they?
Well, they're not going to be next year. The chauffeur, Barry, I'm sorry, mate, but yeah, he is a Fiorentina fan as well, and they're sat in the bottom 3 of the Serie A at the moment. They could get relegated.
Yeah, it just feels like Europe is closer than it's ever been. In terms of feeling how realistic it is now. There's only 12 games to go. We're in such a good position. Someone who's not in such a good position, I thought we should talk about it. Obviously, Thomas Frank has now been sacked as Spurs manager. What are your thoughts now the news has been confirmed? I think he's been put out of his misery, to be quite honest.
He's got a payday out of it as well, hasn't he? He's got a payday out of it. I'm still of the belief that Spurs failed Thomas Frank, not Thomas Frank failed Spurs. I don't know if this is a plug to it, I suppose. If anybody's watched the overlap where Ange Postecoglou went on and spoke about it, and Thomas Frank got sacked at the same time that Ange Postecoglou was there to actually talk about it. And you listen to Ange and how he talks about the hierarchy and he's throwing shade at them, but it just goes to show that Spurs, their motto is to dare is to do, yet they don't dare to do anything. They don't push, they don't thrive to do anything. Yeah, they won the Europa League last season, and Thomas Frank said at the start of the season, didn't he? We're not a Champions League club. We're a club that won the Europa League. Because we finished 17th last season. I know that Ange ended up prioritising the Europa League and whatever, but I think that Spurs failed Thomas Frank, not Thomas Frank failed Spurs. I don't imagine him coming back into another job between now and the end of the season, but I can see him going to Palace next year. I can see Glasner moving on and him going to Palace, to be honest.
I think, obviously, Denmark are in a World Cup playoff. I think if they don't win that playoff in March, then I think he might be the next man. I think they'd certainly want him. Whether he feels it's time to do that right now it is another thing. But, I think that's something he'd love as well and something he'd want to do. And you know what? Brentford fans, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of all Brentford fans, we love Thomas Frank and we want him to do really well, wherever that means he goes next. I'm not surprised, sadly, that it hasn't worked out at Spurs. But perhaps he didn't always approach games in the right way. I can certainly see that from Tottenham fans' perspective. He was a little bit negative at times, but I think Thomas Frank can be a cautious manager. He wants to sort out the defense first. I don't think the team is anywhere near as good as the fans think it is. or for what they paid for it. I think they massively overpaid for that team. And he was getting so much abuse for the last several months now. I just don't think it's extremely helpful.
Didn't they finish in the top 8 of the Champions League still anyway as well?
Yeah, they could win it.
They're in the yeah, it's crazy.
It just goes to show as well. Like, I mean, if Brentford were to get into the Champions League, hypothetical scenario, if Spurs can get into the top 8 of the Champions League, what about us?
Yeah.
There is a question from Richard on X who asks, is Justin Cochrane actually the biggest loser from this? Highly likely that he would have got Keith's job if he didn't go to Spurs. A sliding doors moment for him. I don't know, and I don't think we can really say whether he would have got the job or not. But I mean,
if I'm not
assuming he's left with
mistaken,
Thomas Frank.
yeah. I was gonna say, well, I don't think he has. I think only Thomas Frank is the one
They
that's.
haven't announced anything, have they? About
No,
if anyone's gone?
well, I imagine that if they get a new coach in, well, they've got that Igor Tudor in. Whether he brings his own coaching staff that will determine Justin Cochrane's future, won't it? But that's a good point to make about he's left. Thomas Frank's got sacked. He could have probably had the Brentford job if he'd have stuck around. But hey, shit happens, mate. Unlucky son.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them necessarily for trying to challenge himself. A club that probably has higher potential, even if they're not actually any better than us right now.
They're in a relegation battle.
Yeah, and now he's gone. I will not feel bad at all if Tottenham go down. I would absolutely love it. I think that would be hilarious.
I will love it.
Let's move on then to the Macclesfield game. So a nice change of pace on Monday night, actually. Plastic pitch. I saw I think the Macclesfield assistant manager or someone said that Brentford have already been in touch to go visit the stadium early on Monday so they can prepare themselves for what they're going to be faced with. Apparently Palace didn't do that before the game when they went there. What are your thoughts? How do we cope with Macclesfield away?
There's a pod actually that the Macclesfield captain did. I can't remember what he's called. I'm sure if you Google who he is, no offense to him, and then Google the pod, you'll find it. But he said when they was warming up, they went back in to talk to the referees, and Mark Gurhey was there, and the captain said to Mark Gurhey, "How are you finding the artificial pitch?" And they was like, "No, it's not for us. They're not for us." And then Macclesfield was saying that the captain for Macclesfield was saying, "I knew from that moment that they could be got at because they couldn't hack the artificial pitch." One-off games like this are always dangerous. And I think that we would have taken the right preparations, especially considering what happened to Palace. I think we would have taken the right preparations. We would have the right precautions. And I look, it's a National League North side versus Prem side. It's easy to say that we're going to go out there and we're going to do the job. But Palace showed us it's not going to be easy. I'm not looking forward to stand. Actually, that's a lie. I'm absolutely buzzing to be going to Macclesfield. And I was over the moon with the draw. I don't like the thought of standing out in the pissing down rain on Monday night when it's fucking freezing. With no roof on the terracing as well. But at the same time, I am like, I've been to United, I've been to City, been to Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Everton. I've done all these big clubs, Newcastle, Villa. Done them all. Give me a shithole away day like Grimsby again. Macclesfield away comes out. I'm over the moon. I think the artificial pitch is going to be the biggest deciding factor.
Yeah, I've seen people compare it to when City went to Bodo Glimt in the Champions League as well, and obviously Bodo Glimt won, and that was on a plastic pitch.
Yeah, that was on a plastic pitch.
So there's warning signs there. The fact they beaten Palace, the holders, in the last round is the biggest warning sign you need. So I think we've got to take it seriously.
Yeah, I think that everything that I've seen points to the fact that Palace didn't prepare right for this game. Palace didn't have the right preparations for it. But we will prepare differently. We will prepare properly for this one because Keith Andrews takes his competition seriously, more serious so than what Thomas Frank ever did.
Yeah. Who would you like to see? Obviously, I think Kay Furo is probably going to be in line for his first start up front. I'd like to see that. Who else are you looking forward to seeing?
So I think we could probably pick out 8 or 9 players who are definitely going to start, I think that Valdemarsson is obviously going to be in goal, with a back four of Hickey starting at right back. So Hickey starting at right back. Nathan Collins, which is crazy, starting with possibly Ethan Pinnock. The two of them, and then maybe even I was actually thinking give Rico a rest and play KLP at left back.
I would play KLP. Yeah, that's what I was
I
going
was
to say.
playing KLP at left back. I think Hendo starts. I think Damsgaard starts, and then it's between, Vitali, Yarmo, Jensen, whoever else wants to step in there.
Probably Yarmo, I'd say, but he's been a bit in and out. I think he's probably maybe a bit fresher, Yarmo, because he's not.
Yeah,
he didn't start last
because
week,
obviously him and Henderson are the ones that are being interchanged at the moment, and Hendo didn't start on Thursday, neither did Damsgaard, which makes me believe that they're going to start on Monday.
Yep.
And then I think the front three is going to be Reece Nelson, Romeo Donovan, and Kai Furo. I think that's going to be the front three. I think we'll see Kai Furo for his debut.
And, that should be enough, you would have thought. And obviously, if we have some of the big boys on the bench, I think obviously the fact that Nunes and Konak and I think Arthur have all gone on loan, it means that we'll probably see more senior players stepping up. So it should be enough. And it is amazing to see the likes of Collins and Damsgaard in our second 11 at the moment. My wish is just, we should beat Macclesfield. We're not going to take anything for granted, but we should win that game. If we get a big team in the next round, we need to go full strength, I think.
Wrexham away, please. Never been to Wrexham.
Yeah.
Wrexham away, please.
Yeah, me neither. How do we manage that European battle alongside the FA Cup? Can we dream on both fronts? Can we win the FA Cup and get into
Palace
the league anyway?
Palace won it. I mean, anybody could win it. It's anybody's game. I think that Arsenal City are going to be so focused on, for one, the Carabao Cup final and the Premier League, that they're not going to be taking this one too seriously. This is a competition for, like, Villa or Newcastle, whichever one goes through out of that game. United, potentially Chelsea. I don't know, but they could have a focus on the Champions League, getting into the Champions League for next season. It's one of those competitions that I think that someone outside of the top 5 of the Prem could win it based on how tight the Premier League is this season.
Yeah, I think you always need a bit of luck with the draw. But we've had that so far. You could say, obviously, Sheffield Wednesday are a mess, and obviously Macclesfield are the lowest team ranked left in the competition. So, if we get beyond that, you're looking at, I think, maybe 2 more wins before a Wembley semi-final. And, that would be a great day out as a Brentford fan in the Premier League, as in an FA Cup semi-final / final if we win that. So,
just the day out. You just want the day out.
I think we could dream. Yeah, and you want the other team, the other big teams like Newcastle and Villa to draw each other, which obviously them two have. So they start knocking each other out. So then there's less of them left for us.
So what do we have to say now? Keep Dan believing.
I think so. You know what? We can beat anyone at the moment because we've shown over the last few weeks that we can win different types of games in different circumstances at very hard places to go. So I think that's probably a good place to conclude.
Yeah, I think that Macclesfield is going to be a really difficult place to go, but I'm so looking forward to this away day. Absolutely looking forward to it.
That's great. Just before we leave, then please remember to comment, subscribe, and follow us on the socials. That's at Ealing Road, at the Ealing Road on X, and at Ealing Road Pod on Insta. Craig, it's been another good one. Up the bees.
Up the bees.